if I die today, it's fine. I've lived a good and full life. The ocean gives so much to me. The day will come, it will need to take, and I'll give. I have love for all of you, very much so. I'll always be watching over. Kia kaha.
More than 100 people took to the water to celebrate the life of John Mozo. It was appropriate to gather in the ocean to remember him. John Mozo was a world-renowned surf photographer, a man who loved the ocean and captured special images of the environment he loved.
Mozo was born in Honolulu in 1971 and started his own business in Hawaii in 1996.
John Mozo fell into surf photography and he ended up riding a wave of success.
His work was considered magical. He was more than a popular photographer, he was an artist.
John was born in Honolulu, Hawaii at Triple Army Hospital. He stayed here in Hawaii until he was about 1.5. We were a military family. We got transferred to the Washington, D.C. area. John was always happy and smiling, and he loved to play outside. He was very quiet, but very well behaved. He liked playing with trucks, sandboxes, I guess like most boys do, and he loved going to church, he loved going to school. He was always very compassionate. He was always looking out for others and worrying about if everybody was okay.
Ray knew the military life was hard on his sons. He used the opportunity to relocate them to places where they could embrace culture and their heritage. Spain, Japan, Philippines. They all had one thing in common: the ocean.
Every place we went was different. All my friends were different, and everything was different in life. And so we just had this bond. I think the ocean really bonded us a lot.
My first experience swimming, my dad picked me up and threw me in the deep end of a Olympic-sized pool, and I guess he figured that it would force me to learn how to swim. I actually started to sink and he had to jump in and get me. So from that experience, I was scared of water for a long time, and it's ironic now that I spend so much of my time in the water and how much I love it. But one thing that's the same is I still have this fear of it. Even though I have a lot of experience around the ocean and in the ocean, I still have a fear for it, especially big waves, because I know how much power and energy these waves hold and how they can hold you down and how they can crush you.
He had the top bunk, I had the bottom bunk, and I would put all these surfing pictures up. And so we had all these pictures on the wall that we used to just get lost in and dream.
It wasn't long before John found his way back to Hawaii.
I think all of us in our freshman year, we weren't really too serious about our studies. I started working at Polynesian Culture Center as a female model. And at the time we needed a male model. And so one day at lunch, I had asked John if he wanted to be a model for us, and he just did not seem interested at all. He's kind of wondering how it would affect his surf time. He came in, he got an interview, got the job. We had a lot of downtime in between, waiting for the next group of tourists to come by. We would just be sitting on the wall next to the canoe pageant. And there's this particular beautiful Maori girl that worked over there. And of course, that was Nikki. And Nikki would pass by in between her dance numbers. And he would just get so nervous. It was kind of funny. And we would just, poke fun at him and say, "Kia ora." So when he finally had the courage to ask her out, with this meal that I had cooked, they delivered it to Malaikahana Beach. And he had this little table set up in this clearing, and his friends dressed up as waiters. What I hear from Nikki, she was just so surprised and really touched that he had done that for her. And I think that was the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
It surprised us how quickly we were drawn to each other. But John had already made plans to leave Hawaii and return to his family in Japan. We missed each other terribly, so I flew to Japan to spend the summer with him. And even though we were only 19 years old, we dreamed about getting married and discussed what a life together would be like. John had a sense of urgency about this, so the following year, on a beautiful spring morning, we became husband and wife.
Very happy to be here. Glad the day has finally come when I can be with Nikki and start our marriage and our own family. And so I'm very excited, and I hope she comes on time. Okay, congratulations, John and Nikki Mosley.
I remember on our wedding day, he just emphasizing that he was excited to start his family. That was something that he felt really strongly about, that it shouldn't be something that we should wait a long time, that, marrying me was starting his family, and that, we both wanted to have children.
A year after the two were married came the arrival of their first child, Makana. Although Nikki was still a senior in college, and so much of their future was unsure, having children was never anything but a certainty for them.
John and I came to an agreement that he would stop school and I would finish, and then afterward we would concentrate on what he wanted to do. And so that's what we did. John took care of Makana and he worked, and I went to school and did my practicum.
Now leave Mama's jewelry alone. Matana? Oh.
John maintained a balance between his work, his family, and his religion. But his relationship with the ocean was so deep, he had to give to her as well.
5 o'clock in the morning, get up, eat a bowl of cereal, and then go surf, And then he would go to work and do his thing, and then come back, get off work, and we'd go surfing again. So it was, a nonstop thing.
He needed so much to start his day out in the ocean that it gave him so much joy and grounded him that that's just where he had to be every day.
For me, getting in the ocean means that I am accomplishing something within myself where naturally, I have these fears about deep water and big waves, and by entering the ocean, it helps me face the very thing that I'm scared of.
There's a lot of variables out there. It's a dangerous sport, but at the same time, it's a very fulfilling sport.
There's so many dangers in surfing, whether it be drowning or hitting the bottom or hitting your board or, just other people hitting you, and it's just kind of, the list goes on and on.
Hitting the reef, it's like hitting a concrete slab that's jagged. So, and not to mention you can get eaten by predators out there as well.
Jonathan Mozo can certainly consider himself one lucky young man.
Why? Because he survived a shark attack and he has the battle wounds to prove it.
I've been surfing for, 11, 12 years, and I've only seen a shark once, just a little one. But it's the kind of thing, you never think could happen to you. Well, it was about 6:45 in the morning. My friend Ryan and I paddled out to go surfing out at Goat Island, a place we go out all the time. And we went out, and I caught probably about 3 or 4 waves, and I was paddling back out, and I just felt this really strong clamping on my legs. It took me by total shock, and at a reflex, I just yanked my legs back up, and at the same time, I turned around and I saw a huge shark, and his mouth was up out of the water, and he was just thrashing back and forth, and I was just petrified and scared. At the time, I thought it was my time to die.
He's lucky he didn't bleed to death because the wounds were so serious. You could easily bleed to death in a few minutes.
It wasn't actually until we were at the hospital that I got to have a really good look at him, and I was pretty surprised at the damage that was to my feet. My left foot was about 8 inches, and the other had 3 or 4 slashes. They were pretty deep. Got a couple minor tendons.
That's life. Like, everything's dangerous. You could die driving to the beach or driving home. Like, you can't live scared of what's gonna happen. You just gotta do it and hope that everything's gonna be okay.
I'm fine. I don't think I'll be surfing for a while.
He had nightmares about that shark attack. That was a big shark. He could see it in his dreams, like coming from behind to grab him.
It just motivated him. The shark attack motivated him. It's weird. Some people, it would just send him running the other direction, but not John. No way. It surprised me. I didn't think I was going to surf with my brother again.
He paddled right back out. It's the first spot he paddled back out, where he got attacked by the shark.
That was big for him. For a lot of people, they could have just not stepped foot in the water again.
The push to move forward in the surfing world, I don't know what it is, it's an obsession. And I think that's why we look at surfing as such a natural drug, because even something that horrendous in his life didn't stop him from doing what he loved to do, you know what I mean?
I just remember the scars, and there's scars on both of his feet, and we would always ask what happened, and the story never got old.
How do you want to live when you know you love the ocean, but there's these things inside of it that could be dangerous to you? And we just decided at that time that he needed to live life passionately, doing what he loved, and not worry about what might happen. Because you can't live your life in fear of things that you don't know if they're going to happen or not happen, and so you avoid them. But he couldn't not be a part of the ocean, and so we just decided that we weren't going to live that way, and we weren't going to worry about what might happen.
That was a real wake-up call, because it made me realize that you're not here in life that long, and there was so much that I wanted to do but didn't do, and that kind of put the pressure on me to chase after some of those goals that I had.
John spent the next several months exploring a new chapter in his photography career.
His dream at that time was to be a fashion photographer.
So we went and bought him just a used camera, and then he would have me model for him so he could test out like lighting and compositions, and I would try to be patient and just help him as he practiced his photography.
John and Nikki made the difficult decision to leave their life in Hawaii so he could pursue his dream of becoming a fashion photographer. So on to New York they went.
And that's where you saw the PCC photographer turn into the fashion photographer and really the commercial photographer.
Amber was born while we were up there. John had to drive 75 miles one way into work when our children were small. We spent almost 2 years on the East Coast.
We met wonderful people, saw a beautiful countryside, and had many learning opportunities. But as another winter drew near, John yearned for the warm waters of Hawaii and our family and friends there. He was anxious to build his business in the place that would be home for us.
When he finally returned to Hawaii, John spent the next few years building his portfolio, client base, and his brand. That's when he created John Mozel Ltd. He built a home office for himself where he could do his work while also taking care of his children.
Kind of a lot of distractions in my office. Trying to do some work here. Somebody's distracting
Nobody
me.
told you to pick up the video camera.
Ready, set,
Silly.
Okay, move backwards. Hi, I'm Papa. Come here, Amber. Is Makana filming? Can you see Amber?
Yeah. Amber. There's Papa. Ariana in her little dress.
I don't think John had a personal and a business side. I think he was just John.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it. That's a good way to describe it. Just John.
We met John when he was shooting at the Polynesian Cultural Center. He was just starting his photo career, and we hooked up with him. He had some great potential, and he was really getting into his own style. I think he was pretty much our agency photographer for many, many years.
What I loved about him as a commercial photographer was that he always captured the simplicity of the story. He was able to capture people in their element, and they have it so organic and natural that it doesn't seem forced.
He always approached every shoot with, it's just genuineness, and that's really rare in an industry where personalities are as big as photo shoots.
It's just amazing to see someone be able to bring people into his life genuinely. It's not just a surface friendship with him either. These things go deep.
He came to shoot the Māori village boys doing haka. And the thing that I always appreciate and remember about that time is that I knew the person who was photographing us respected the culture. Even how he was taking his shots. He wasn't dictating, he was basically saying for us to be natural, what we'd normally do anyway, and then he positioned himself around us, not making us position ourselves around him, which normally doesn't happen.
When Yanni was born, John and I made a very brave decision that I would leave my secure job to be home full-time with our 3 children. It was a scary leap of faith for us, but it motivated John to work even harder. He was doing a lot of model portfolios at the time and steadily increased his commercial clientele and weddings. And of course, he still made time for the ocean.
My dad started going to Tahiti when it was kind of unknown. I'd say it's around like 97, 98. And that's when Chopo was pretty much discovered as a surf spot. And he was one of the first photographers to go there and one of the first surf photographers that the Tahitians met pretty much. And they fell in love with him.
He is a very special place to me. It's not home for me, but I could call it my second home.
Voilà la différence. Les autres viennent ici, manger, après, bon, ok, thank you, go, après, tournage là-bas. John, non. John, comme si c'est un fils. C'est un fils et famille. Là, la différence.
Me. That's you? Oh my gosh.
Quand nous on vivait avant de connaître John, on se refermait sur nous. On ne regardait pas les gens, on s'en foutait des gens, quoi. Même quand les gens venaient de loin, on ne se souciait pas d'eux, on s'occupait de nous. Et quand on a connu John, si tu veux, il nous a appris à regarder les autres gens, hein, à aimer les gens, à les prendre comme ils sont. Et c'est un peu ça qu'il a apporté chez nous, hein, en chacun de nous. Et puis ça a carrément marqué notre vie parce qu'après...
I've come to love Tahiti and the people there. They're so good to me and they treat me with so much love and respect, and I admire that about them, and I wish I could be more like them, and I wish that we all could be more like the Tahitian people. And it just so happens that Tahiti has amazing waves too, and some of the most beautiful reefs and lagoons in the world, and I love it there.
He loved spending time with people, you know, with the local people and take pictures. He was almost one of them here, you know. He had his little family here at the point, and he has a little kayak waiting for him.
What's your name? Zero. My name's Zero.
So John, I want to share to everybody in the world the riches of the Polynesian. Not only in Tahiti, but in the South Pacific. He wants to show to everybody in the world.
It took me many years, most of my life, just to be able to put the surfboard down and to pick up the camera and enter the same waters with my camera instead of my board. And that was a hard thing. That was a big sacrifice, not to be able to ride these waves, but just to kind of sit back and watch them break. Now it's gotten to a point where I enjoy shooting waves just as much, if not more, than riding waves. Being in a wave with my camera and photographing it, to me, that's the biggest thrill, the biggest rush.
You see this wonderful progression from using people as models to actually using nature itself. And that transition of just aesthetically, its appearance was just amazing as far as what he was able to capture.
A lot of people know me for my fashion work and portrait work and commercial stuff, but I'm releasing a series of open ocean waves, no people inside, just, you know, raw beauty, natural stuff of just the ocean. So stoked to be here and to be able to present my work to the public. This is stuff that's I felt close to me for a long time.
He said, you know, I want to capture the power of nature, raw power of ocean especially, so people can enjoy it.
The way that he was able to compose the images, I used to just think, I just be in awe with it. Was amazing to me.
I would say he's always had an eye, even before he picked up a camera, just the way he would see things. Where someone would look at something and see one thing, or maybe see something bad, he would see the good in it. And I think as he honed his craft and the better and better he got, I think it just kept showing through him.
In the film days, and John was shooting film, you have 36 pictures on a roll. And then you've got to swim all the way back in, open your housing up, reload, swim all the way back out. And the swim can be really tough and physically tiring and take a long time. So you're out there with 36 shots and you want to make them last, and it requires a certain discipline to not shoot a junk shot. You know, you want each one of those 36 shots to be really good.
You have to be focused, and that's one of the addictions to surf photography, is being able to escape and forget about everything, because you're so focused on doing it. You can't think about anything else but surviving.
You know, it's not just about staying in one spot and letting the action come to you. It's about really going towards the surfer, the wave. You know, it takes a lot of ocean knowledge of knowing where the wave's gonna break, when it's gonna break, and it takes a lot of athleticism. You know, being able to just swim on your own for a few hours on end takes a lot of energy and takes a lot of strength. But then again, when you put in the currents of the ocean and the shifting of the tides and the way that the waves come in, that's a whole nother element in itself. And then when you're carrying around like a 15-pound camera with the housing, or you know, sometimes even heavier, and then you're avoiding other surfers and dealing with all the elements of the reef below you and surfboards coming at you. It takes a real skill, and John was one of the best in the world at it.
John loved to go visit the dolphins. One day he loaded up his jet ski with his camera equipment, and he was going around the point with his brother Alan, and somewhere around there they lost his camera off the back of the jet ski. They circled around and tried to look for it, but they couldn't find it anywhere. And he came home and he told me that he'd lost his equipment, and for some reason he just never was upset about that. He talked about how she gives me so much that it's okay that she took something or that she has my camera. She talking about the ocean. And so I was like, okay, and it was gone.
He would quietly tell us, you know, what I do, I've had some really close calls. You never want to hear that stuff from your friend. You just saw his love for it. You know, he knew there was a lot of risks, and you know, and he of all people knew that.
In a situation like that, I know the consequence, and I know that you don't just get under a wave like that when it breaks where it does, and you're at where you are. You definitely are gonna be taken for a ride. Before I went down, I think I said something like, "Oh God, help me," and I dived down and I swam as hard as I could underwater, held my breath as long as I could, and miraculously, not even one part of that wave even touched me. And to come up on the backside of that wave without even being touched by it, I knew that it wasn't me that like swam through that wave. It wasn't just my own energy, and it wasn't even luck. It was definitely somebody watching out for me. I have 3 images from that day that, to me, capture what I saw that day, and the 3 images are Heaven Sent, Behold, and Almighty. I named them those names because of that experience I have with that one wave that would have taken my life. And even, I mean, facing that wave, like photographing it was not even an option. I mean, just living didn't even seem like an option. But I survived that day, and I walked away with a greater respect for the ocean and for the hand that created it, and they hadn't protected me that day.
He always spoke about his family and his love for God.
These are my 3 kids, and first and foremost in my life, the most important thing to me are children. And way above being an artist or photographer or anything else, family and people are like the most important thing in my life. And I would much rather be known as someone who loves people, and then maybe be known for someone who can capture the ocean second.
While here, I realized how important people are in my life, especially children, and how I realize I'm happiest when I'm surrounded by them. And I think this is what I've progressed into from being that shy, private person I mostly was in my youth. I'm so glad we have each other and have created 3 beautiful children. I think there may be one more spirit that is anxiously waiting to join our family. I would love to bring her down. I love you. You are wonderful to me. John. You just knew that there was one more that wanted to come down from heaven. It makes me feel good that my dad wanted another baby, which is me. Everyone just talks about how he's such a great photographer and, you know, he's so talented and that his work is amazing and it's like nothing they've ever seen before, and he was the best, but I think he's just the best dad.
He had a passionate love affair with the ocean. He was always running off to be with her every chance he could get. In our relationship, she was the other woman. But I knew she made him happy, and so I never tried to keep them apart. Doing so would change the man that I loved. So if that meant including her in our relationship, then I was prepared to share him with her. There was evidence of her everywhere in our life. Her accessories were all over our house, and photographs of her adorned our walls. He spoke of her incessantly, like he could never get enough. Even if he spent 12 hours with her today, he would still yearn for her tomorrow. I attempted to deal with my jealousy of her over the years. As a newlywed, I woke up in the early morning hours searching our bed for him, but he was already with her. I knew she fulfilled certain needs that I couldn't. As silly as it sounds, I wanted to know that he loved me more. I wanted him to respond to my calls above hers. I wanted to know that I had more power over him than she did. Yet somehow, deep down, I knew she would win.
Statistically, pipeline is the most dangerous surf break in the world.
The scary thing about pipe, some of the most gnarliest, death-defying days, unfortunately, are the 5 to 6 foot days when it's like really low tide, shallow kind of tides.
A lot of the surfers, they get pitched over the falls or they free fall out of the top of the wave. They'll fall down to the bottom and then they'll get sucked back up the face and over again. And it's that second time over is usually when you get hurt or when you get killed, because you're further inside and it's shallower, sometimes only 3 or 4 feet deep.
Well, on the morning of February 9th, John woke up so excited to be able to go to the beach. He had been working in town and in the office a lot prior to that, and so he had been looking forward to being able to do some work at the beach. He got up and popped in a DVD of some guys in Chopo, and they were like getting drilled on the reef, and it just kind of pumped him up, and he was really excited.
The morning he died, it was like a different energy, a different him. He was so stoked for some reason. I remember when he dropped us off at school, he was kind of in a rush to get in the water, and he was just smiling the whole morning.
and it was perfect.
The reason why so many people continue to surf at Pipeline despite the obvious dangers and the history of people dying out there, because it's so exciting and the waves are so beautiful and so perfect, and there's really nothing else like it on the planet.
I asked him if he would pick up the kids from school, and he said that he would. I gave Makana the key to the house anyway, just in case for some reason. And Makana had to use it that day because his dad didn't come and pick him up from school.
I had just missed him. I had finished my surfing session. He was just setting up. I still can remember his smiley face and the fact that no chip on his shoulder about anything. He wasn't bummed that he missed the earlier session and it was cranking. It was the now and then, and there's no reason to dwell on past or future. It was just living the now.
Absolutely perfect west swell pipeline. It was about 5 to 8 feet, and it was sunny and it was straight offshore. And I told this to Nikki. I said, you know, if I was going to choose a day to die in the ocean, that would have been the day.
There's a bit of a commotion down near Iukai Lifeguard Tower, and I'd gone over there and I was like, oh no, my stomach just sunk, and it was just like a really bad feeling.
As I'm hearing all the scuttlebutt and the voices lifting and all the commotion, I realize it's one of my best friends, John.
Bodyboarder looked down and saw a body on the bottom, and that was John's body. And this bodyboarder kind of freaked out, started screaming, and then this other kid, Kamalo Souza, retrieved him from the bottom, got him to the surface, brought him up to shore on the surfboard, got him on the sand, and we started trying to revive him.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So I was like, where's Alan? Where's Alan? Where's Alan? And I had to go swim out and tell Alan to come in ashore, and it was just a really hard moment.
A bunch of people were on the beach and they were pointing towards me. And all of a sudden, I seen a bunch of people just paddling like crazy towards me. And before they even got to me, I knew that it was John and something had happened. And when I got to the beach, people were already hugging me and just running towards me and hugging me, and I just couldn't accept it. And I went running up to the guard stand, and I'm looking down where they were working on the person. They were gone already. You could hear the ambulance had left while I was still in the water, and I got up to the guard shack, and everybody had that look, you know, and I just knew. And a police officer came up to me, and he walked down, and he had John's fins and his camera belt and his watch, and he goes, "Are these your brothers?" And I said, yes. I go, what happened? What happened? And so, we don't know, but you need to go to the hospital right now.
I was driving home from town, and I started getting phone calls, like, where's John? I guess people had started to hear that someone had been injured at Pipeline. At first I shook it off like, oh, yeah, no, he's at the beach, I'm sure he's fine. And I didn't really worry about it, but as I was driving up the coast, kind of winding my way home, I had the feeling like I should check. And so I called Kahuku Hospital to just get peace of mind at that time. And after a while, the doctor came on the phone and said that John was there and that I needed to get there as soon as possible, that he had been seriously injured. And so as I was driving to him, I thought about a lot of things. You know, if John is seriously injured, it would be hard for him to live differently, I wouldn't want him to have to live without doing the things that he loved. And the other thing that I thought about was when John had been injured seriously before, they didn't keep him at Kahuku Hospital. It doesn't have life-sustaining capabilities. And so when that thought came to mind, I got shivers all over my body. And somehow I knew at that point that it was really serious, that John may not be there when I get there.
I was the first one there. He was still warm. And I couldn't believe it. I started trying to work on him, and they said, we've already tried, you know, and
I got to the hospital, and when I arrived, the doctor pulled me aside in the hallway and basically gave me a rundown of what had happened.
And it turns out he had been underwater maybe for about 45 minutes. And that's too long for anyone to survive.
It was already too late, and they had already pronounced him dead before I got there.
And then I called my mom. And that was the worst phone call I've ever made in my whole life.
Sorry, I don't really talk about this. We were living at my uncle's house, my Uncle Alan, when my dad passed away, and we just walked home from school.
I was in the living room when my mom came home. I think I was making a necklace and watching TV, and she was crying, and she said we need to go to the hospital.
And I knew it was about my dad, but I thought maybe he broke his leg or back or something, and I was really scared.
It was just us around the hospital bed, and he was just calm, and there were no tubes, and it was just him, and he was just lying there. I don't think any of us thought that he was in heaven. We really thought he was just sleeping. I was just like, his eyes aren't open. Wait, what happened?
And then my mom said, Dad's in heaven. And the girls took it really hard. But I kind of just stood there in disbelief, not knowing anything. Like my whole world was just turned upside down.
I was in a park writing music, you know, and I got the call. I just lost it. You know, I totally lost it.
It was really of course it was a hard thing for them. They screamed and cried, but I do think that it was right for them to bring them in front of John so that they could see for themselves that he was okay. His body was here, but he was in heaven now.
I just remember feeling so empty. I didn't know what to do. Like, I was a little girl, and I felt bad for Nellie. She had no memory of him. She was 2.
My mom has told me that when she told me that my dad has gone to heaven, that I started crying, and my mom said that it's okay because I will see him one day again. And that I love him and care about him a lot.
Everything's here but you. This life, this family, everything but you. The silentness of the room. The silentness that once echoed you. So I take a pen and I write the tears, and it all spills out you ain't here, and I lay to rest alone in my bed. I wake to life, so I dream I'm dead. Picture so the life we had. They make me smile, they make me laugh. I clear my mind, I try to start again. I clear my mind, you come rushing in. So I take a pen and I write the tears, and it all spills out. 'Cause you ain't here, and I lay to rest alone in my bed. I wake to life, so I dream I'm dead.
We spent the next month like trying to comprehend what our life would be like with him gone to heaven, and how we would be now. And it really took a few years for us to be able to not have constant pain and miss him. When we talked about what he would want, what John would want for us, we knew that he would want us to be happy. And so that was our goal. Like day by day, we would just try to be a little happier every day and do things that he would want us to do. And eventually, we can be happy without pain again.
While we were preparing for John's funeral, it was Valentine's Day, and somebody arrived at Alan's house where we were staying with a Valentine's gift from John. And he had already planned and prepared a Valentine for me. He wrote, "Sweetheart, I'll love you forever." And so the week after he passed away, when Valentine's Day came, it was just so John to be able to, for him to just want to take care of everything as much as he could, that I still got my Valentine from him. And just reminders that I love you and that love is forever. And so those things help me keep going.
His passions still transfer over to me. They help me to maintain my passions and dreams, because just the way he lived life good towards everyone, and he lived life to the fullest. Don't let your fears block you. Don't let someone else stop you from living your dreams. Live like John and pursue your passion.
And it made me think that if you want to do something, you better do it now and have no regrets. And if anything, I really learned that from John. And even if you have to fail at what you're doing, that you should do it. And I think John kind of taught a lot of people how to do that, and he definitely taught me that.
You just gotta live and do the things that you like to do and you appreciate, you know. And you know, when your time comes up, your time comes up.
And whatever you do, just kind of take yourself out of the picture and think about other people. And that's really hard for everyone, and especially me. But I've been trying to live by what he taught me while he was here.
There's so many reminders of him. There's so many good things that make me happy, and I think that's what gets me through life.
He He's actually only physically died. I mean, as far as an energy, he's grown. He's even more alive than ever. I see it in my life every day, and I see it in so many people around me, and the people he's affected, and I see him everywhere. I really don't know how to put it all in words.
I was really having a hard time the second year after John passed. And although the first year was difficult in the sense that, you know, the freshness of doing everything without him, it was even more difficult the second year. Because in the second year comes the reality that everything that you muster up to do it the first time, you have to do it again and again and again every single year, and every single birthday, Father's Day, everything. And so you just got to keep doing it over and over. July of 2006, I got an email saying, you might want to check out this article in the Philippine newspaper. It had reported that a fisherman in the Philippines had found a camera belonging to John Mozo. And in this photo, I saw John's equipment and his business cards, his handwriting on things, and it was definitely his stuff. And I remember asking Makana, is that possible? And we looked at a map of where it would have floated and how it could have got there, and all the little islands it could have got stranded on in between. And where it happened to land in the Philippines was, you know, kind of like the pipeline, near the pipeline of the Philippines. And John had spent 6 years of his childhood there. This happened at a time when I really needed something like this to happen. I just thought of John, like, watching his case, because his case bobbed along the ocean all the way to the Philippines. And him watching his case and kind of guiding it to this place that he, in my opinion, chose for it to be found. And then it just made me realize that John is watching us and he's aware of us. And to me, he was trying to send a message to me that I'm watching, I'm aware of everything that's going on, and I'm with you.
He's a hero to me, and for me it was just an honor to even spend, you know, a big portion of my life with him and to have him as a brother, because it's the kind of person that you read about. It's not the kind of person that, you know, you're related to, so I consider myself to be one of the most blessed people in the world.
He was just a little, you know, military kid that dreamed in these surfer magazines, and I want to teach that to our children and to anyone that we have the opportunity to come in contact with, that you have the potential to have anything that you want if you're willing to work for it and set goals for yourself and put in the effort that it takes.
I don't think he had any regrets. I think he loved his life and he was doing exactly what he wanted to do, and I don't think he would have changed anything.
He really wanted to do things for people and didn't expect things in return, you know? He was selfless, and I think his message, I think, to the world is to really just look at the things in life that mean a lot, you know? And his number one thing definitely was family. You know, family is crucial. Family, friends, and how you affect other people, and how you can give. He was all about giving. It's like the more successful he came, the more he gave back.
It's like his work was unfinished. There's all the pictures in our garage and the cameras on our shelf and all the computers and everything we need to kind of continue his work. And that's kind of what he left behind to me too, is that you can do something with your life and with what you're given.
Dad died, his camera was found, I think, down at Rockies, and we got it back, and it was special to us because it's the last thing he ever touched. We didn't know what we were gonna do with it. We just decided we'd use it till it stopped working. And we did, and we used it, and we took pictures of us as a family. That's when I knew that photography was something me and my dad, something that connected us, and that, you know, when I take pictures or when I had it in my hand, I felt him through me. And I felt calm, and I knew why he loved doing it. I felt a different way ever since then. I never stopped shooting.
You know, we have this life that myself and my children love somebody that they aren't able to be with. And so there's a few things you can do at that point. You can stop loving them, or you can learn to, you know, to live with that love and somehow, I don't know, transcend that pain and keep going and keep enduring and seeing the beauty. I mean, transcend isn't just dealing with it, but making the best out of everything that we have been given and making it the best it can possibly be.
We just learned to do things more together and how to make those memories that he taught us, all the things, surfing, you know, how to make them okay even though he's not there with us.
Oftentimes I'll say, let's go to the cemetery and we can go visit Dad, and they always say that's not where Dad is, that whenever they go into the ocean, that's where they feel him.
Recently, we've been taking my little sister out surfing, and at the beginning she's like, I don't want to surf, it's cold, it's rainy, I don't want to go, the waves are big. And we're just like, come on, Nellie. And so I tell her, I was like, Nellie, I used to be the exact same way as you. I used to not want to go out into the surf. It used to be cold, but Amber would push me out there. I was like, Nellie, it's so worth it. It's so much fun. You feel so much closer to Dad. That's the one place where I feel that I can feel him and that I am doing what he did, and just out in the water, you just feel him so much.
We have a common link in the Pacific, and that link is the ocean. And he used his talent and his love of the ocean to transcend culture and link us through this common element. His work will transcend time because the ocean was before us, it's with us, and it'll be here after us.
A few months after John passed away, his brother Alan was looking in the shed, and he found an 8x10 photo of John surfing, and behind it was a note.
And he read it to me, and we were both crying.
If I die today, it's fine. I've lived a good and full life.
The ocean gives so much to me. The day will come it will need to take.
And I will give.
I have love for all of you very much so. I'll always be watching over.
I will always be watching over. Kia kaha.
Kia kaha.
Kia kaha.
When I first read the note, I was kind of mad because I had little Nellie next to me, and I thought, it's not fine. It's not fine that she doesn't get to have a daddy. To know that that John was fine with knowing that if his time was up, he was okay with that. And because of that, I learned to be okay with it too.
Kia basically means to be, or to let be, or arrive at. Kaha can mean strength, determination, courage, energy. And so the phrase is saying to be strong. He's not saying to be stronger, but to just continue to be what you are. Powerful, strong, courageous as a family. To continue being it.
really was not afraid of death at all. He would tell us, that we will all be able to be together again sometime and not to worry, because even though this life seems long, it's not long, and forever is forever.
When there's many preaching doom and gloom or sadness or people living in the Ain't Things Awful club, to not be caught up in that, not to fall into that negativity or pessimism, but to stay optimistic, to have the courage to move forward always, to stay strong to your beliefs, to your culture, to what you've been taught. That's what it really is to have also kaha. That's a phrase that the whole world needs to embrace.
I am a spiritual and visual artist. Aren't we all? Our style and approach is our medium of living life, the ultimate canvas. Our eyes capture scenes of life and process them with emotion and thoughts, texture and color. What do we communicate? How do we influence? Do we sign our work like a traditional artist? Where do we leave our signature?
The group formed a massive circle, joining hands as the waves rolled in. Others chose to stay on shore, clinging to their own memories. And then in unison, they tossed Blaine to the center of the sphere, bidding a final farewell to a dear friend.
I cannot recall stars just blowing in the pitch black night. Higher than the moon, we were satellites. I could die today. Not a care in the world, ain't nothing wrong. All summer long, just singing them songs, yeah. We were top of the world. Flashback, we were just kicking back. A bottle of Jack in my dad's Cadillac, yeah. We were free from all this. Those weekend nights with no traffic lights. Cool wind blowing, baby, rock me all night long. We had no fortune teller. We was broke as hell, but felt like millionaires. Life was free, we had a castle in the air. You would sing out of tune, but we picked the locks come 12 o'clock. Turned up the music and let it rock all night long. We were top of the world. Flashback, we were just kicking back. A bottle of Jack in my dad's Cadillac, yeah. We were free from all this. Those weekend nights with no traffic lights. Cool wind blowing, baby, rock me all night long. All night long. All night long. All night long. Rock me all night long. All night long. All night long. All night long. Now it seems we lost our way. We're paying for life on layaway. A castle in the air has drifted away, yeah. Did you lose your ears? 'Cause I'm singing out of tune outside your door. Come on, baby, remember when we were top of the world. In your flashback, we were just kicking back. A bottle of Jack in my dad's Cadillac, yeah. We were free from all this stuff. Those weekend nights with no traffic lights. Cool wind blowing, baby, rock me all night long. 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 Jack and my dad's Cadillac.